Hey folks, it's Brian. I've got a Far Horizons update for everyone. A couple of new things. One, I was actually able to capture the live play, so that's in the description if you're into that kind of thing. Two, spoilers. Our GM is using the Traveler Adventure, the Kinnear. I said that right. So if you're interested in playing that kind of thing, at this point in the game, there are spoilers for that module. Also, if you're watching the live play, you'll notice a handful of times where I had to, I end up cutting myself out of Roll20 and having to pull myself back in. That's because I was recording off of a separate monitor, and that separate monitor um, has is not capturing all of the screen on the screen, and so things like the minimize and resize and close buttons are not visible, and I end up doing something in Roll20 that does something to my screen that I can't, you know, scroll or whatever. That was the first thing that happened. Also, I couldn't scroll because my um, the box for the dice roller um, it is in the way. I end up moving it to the other side because there's a lot of blank spaces we're going through the map of the ship. So there's just some weird tech things that happen while that's going on. The first hour and a half plus of the live play is us catching up two of the players to where we are. They have to go through the Science Institute, that kind of thing, and doing a review of what happened during the last few sessions because they missed that. One kind of cool thing about that, though, is that we're discussing different planets in the sector, and I'll have a sector map up, and with my cursor, I'll try and point those planets out. So that's kind of cool, I think. But without further ado, Dylan's personal log 2010-03. So we're reviewing some of the ship footage that we took from the Kazinti ship, and we're able to distinguish that the components, because they took the crew, which was kind of obvious, but they also took components from the ship. They stripped pieces of the ship out, um, and all of those pieces um, have in common that those components hold um, rare elements, platinum, gold, that kind of thing. But there are components that are still in the ship that have those in them, so there's still something odd on why do they take those things with them. We continue to search the ship. Tajin gives me a call over the comms. Hey Dylan, come here. I think I see something familiar. So, I go walking around, find where he's in. He's in one of the cabins. And there's this plaque. And on the plaque is this odd-shaped knife. Um, kind of like a leaf, starts out wide, goes narrow, right, but it's all blade, right? It's got kind of like a palm folding piece to it in the middle, kind of thing. Um, and in fact, I do have a dagger like that. I had picked it up on the moon from the bug planet that the Starline's guys, when they found my ship and brought me out of cryo. That planet had a moon, and on that moon there was there was not a coalition. There was a meeting of some various races. There were these squat wide-looking guys. The Regal. There were some Anzaraki there, the lizard dudes, and there was we had found this other alien. He was dead, and the corpse was desiccated, but it had one of these knives. So that's where I got mine. There's also a sword there that somebody got. I don't remember anything specifically about it, but so we're starting to postulate because this planet that was on where I got this knife is core word of of my sector, the ASL, not ASL, but of my sector, which is trailing of this sector. So we also know that spinward of this sector are more Kzinti because there's only one planet in this sector that has a Kzinti planet. We know that there's more Kzinti planets spinward from here. So we're thinking that maybe, coreward of us is some more alien connections going on. Interesting. And, long term, maybe something that we can get our fingers into to help with our big encryption, our Maliki, universal, kick the Corellians out of the sector kind of stuff. And encryption. Okay. He also found this tarot card, and it's got a pathway on it to some standing stones. There's some symbols on it, and there's a knoll. There's stones between this pathway. I guess it goes into a knoll on which are some standing stones with like a Tory kind of situation. You get two upright and one across. And it's kind of like it's dark, like it's at night or something. Not a whole lot of detail. Begin encryption. Okay, so this tarot card. When he has to take a look at it, I take a look at it, and I get a glimpse of a pattern, like underneath the surface of the card, like those 3D things. That's similar to the pattern that we end up walking back on Procyon 5-2, the planet, the Procyon planet, where we got Robin. That was down in the floor level of the substructure of previous generations of time kind of thing. There were bugs down there. There's that bug generator. That's where the warriors for the tribe, they come down. Two things they do down here. One was capture their lizard mount. The other was to make something from this nuclear powered replicator kind of thing that's down there. They had like something to put on their head or not, but there was some way they interfaced with the machine and would make knives. That's where I got my Duralloy dagger from. But past that point, there was a cleft in the wall, and we go through that, and we came to this room, and there was this square platform, and on the square platform, was this disc, like, well, a circular shape on the platform that was glowing, and then there's this kind of like spaghetti being slung out pattern of this light going to the far end where there was another circular platform. That's where we were walking through that. We go through these veils that would, the whole thing was very strenuous and fatiguing as we went through the thing. And when we got to the end, we were able to learn some of these other Sonic-like skills, although they're much different because they're much harder to do. They do different things. Mine enhances senses, so I can project out to hear things at a distance. I can move that around. I've only used it a couple of times because again, it's really hard to do. um, and encryption. So I just thought, so something like this. So we decided we're going to give this to Kira to see if she can discern anything about it. But she's not. Okay, so obviously this dagger thing is some kind of a throwing knife. We're trying to figure out how to use it. Now this alien that we found the knife from had very long hands and long fingers. So we're thinking maybe it was, hold it with the fingertips and the thumb in the middle of the palm piece of the knife kind of thing. We don't know, but it's obviously a different style of throwing things. We do find on board ship a number of Kazinti boarding type weapons, swords, that sort of thing, and some ballistic firearms, but no energy weapons. Okay, so we get done getting all of our data out of the Kazinti ship. Okay, let's go find the Kinnear. And so we take the gun camera footage, project out to the second asteroid belt where we entered that asteroid belt. So that's the last known spot. Set our trajectory, we go check it out. On our route there, we detect a Corellian drone, passive sensoring, running a set pattern through the system. So we really start to speculate. Okay, maybe this is from the Kazin, from the Kinnear. Too many K words, and it's watching out for search rescue parties or something maybe, or it could be from the actual Corellians who are simply monitoring the system, watching for bug activity. And we think at one point, hey, maybe it is from the Kinnear. We just follow it, see what sorts of things, because if it's giving off a signal, we should be able to detect that. It'd be harder if it's doing some kind of laser communications, because it's point to point and very hard to, but it would give off a little bit of a signature. But then Rennell says, "Hey, guys, this is a fairly newer model. I mean, I would have seen something like this, 5, 10, 15 years ago, maybe at the max. So coming from the Kinnear, which is a couple hundred years old. So okay, so this is a Corellian thing, and there's probably some Corellian scout ship floating out here, dead in space, and every so often, if it gets a signal, then it'll jump out and let the Empire know, and then things will happen, because we know not me, but the guys that are from here, um, specifically Tajin, he was one of those drafted military things like I did for the Corellians, and so he's actually fought on this planet, fought bugs. So that happens every so often. There'll be some bug activities. The Corellians come in and try and crash them back down again. Okay. So we get to the asteroid belt. Oh, when we see the drone, we go stealth. Get the asteroid belt. And we start doing scans, and we find a body out in space. We go over, we collect it. It's a human. He's from the Kinnear. No helmet. So the doc does an autopsy on him while we continue to do our scans, and he tells us that this guy died from asphyxiation prior to his body freezing. There's some bruising on him from a couple impacts, like on the shoulder and on the leg. Reynolds kind of asked him, so would this kind of thing happen if the ship had lost power and you're floating in space and the ship gets rocked around, kind of thing? And yeah, that would make some sense. So we take a line from where the Kazinti ship is to where we found the body, and we start doing a spiraling out along that path pattern, passive sensors trying to find something. We get to the end of the asteroid belt, nothing. So we start, okay, what else could we do? Well, maybe the ship is trying to get to the gas giant because it's probably out of fuel. Jumped in system, did some fighting and maneuvering, and jumped out of system. That's a lot of fuel to burn. So it's probably very, very low, or if not completely out. And so we start. So we head over to the gas giant, take a look around it. Absolutely nothing. But then again, if it made it to the gas giant, it would have jumped out unless it was really damaged. Um, but on the way out to the gas giant, on the way back, nothing. So we get back to the asteroid belt. Okay, so we start doing some recalculations of a new search grid, and we find 2 more bodies. And so we take for where we found these 2 bodies to where we found the first body. You find our trajectory on where to go, and start searching that way. Now, these 2 bodies we found, one was without a helmet, same cause of death, asphyxiation, followed by the freezing. But the other had a helmet on, but he's got a laser shot right through the helmet into his head, and that's what caused his death. He was killed by that shot. None of the bodies we came across were armed. On the body with the helmet, we were able to capture some audio from his vac suit communication device, of what appears to be some kind of a boarding action, room to room clearing, hallways, this is secure, continue forward, that kind of stuff. From the date stamps on it, though, that happened while the kid was in the Omicron system before it got here. So from all this data, we refine our search pattern again and start just moving through the asteroid field. And we do notice that there is a pattern as looking back in time, there is a pattern that the Kinnears seem to be following that through the asteroid belt that would lead to where the gas giant was then, but would focus towards higher density of asteroid material rather than the more open parts. And sure enough, we come across her. There she is. There is not as much damage we figured that there should have been on it. There's some Nova gun blast kind of stuff, but there's no surface structure ruptures, no boarding marks, inside, what do you call it? Fissure again, kind of that sort of thing. And it is dark. There is a makeshift solar array tethered to it, so using that to try and soak up some energy, at least, or they were. And so we decide, okay, let's tether over to the observation port in the back. There's an access hatch, and we decide, okay, let's go in. We'll try and bypass the security stuff and manually open the thing up. So that's what we do. But Tajin says, hey, let's set up a demo charge on the cable connecting the ship to the solar array. So if we have to cut its power, we can do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. So we send a drone over, set that up. He's got a remote detonator kind of thing. And then the guys on the ship keeping the passive sensors over, looking for bugs or Corellians for that matter. and on the ship for, if it starts powering up for whatever reason or something, let us know. So we enter the airlock and we go through in teams of 2, Tajin and I first, and then Arthur and Renaud. And Arthur, he goes up and as he's attempting to bypass. No, it's Tajin. We're inside. When Tajin's trying to bypass the interlock, there's a video screen because there's no windows to look through, see what's on the side, but there's a video screen so you can see either out or in kind of thing. And as he's trying to bypass the inner lock, the video screen lights up, and it's showing a what appear to be um, test trajectories through the asteroid belt to get to the gas giant. And we can see the gas giant, and we can see, a line go, using the gravitational pull of the various asteroids to try and slingshot out to the gas giant. A number of, then a different one, and then a third, and there's a handful of them go through, and then it loops around again. Gas giant trajectories. All those trajectories that show end up missing the gas giant. The screen then goes blank, and we manually open the interlock. There's a security room. There's an empty weapons rack. There's a computer, some debris, probably like frozen water kind of stuff in the air. Close the door. Reynald and Arthur go through the whole same process. But Reynald notices as he came through the inner door that there was some kind of quick scan of him. So he brings that to our attention. And we set Arthur down at the computer there and say, okay, do your thing. And so he starts doing his computer stuff, and Tajin opens the north door. It's like a weapons locker. It's all in disarray. All the energy weapons have been disassembled, have been cannibalized. And Arthur gets a video that pops up showing Marines fighting Marines. They're all in combat, like on a boarding action. Only it's Marines fighting Marines instead of Marines fighting other folks. They're all in combat body armor. They've got ACRs. We feed that over to the guys in the other ship, see if they notice anything. Megan says that, hey, if these guys are shooting each other with ACRs, why is that guy getting shot with a blast rifle? And so we all start looking through the feed again. Okay, that guy got shot by a blast rifle from off screen. He got shot by a blast rifle. And so we start piecing through this video, and we notice that this video shot was not on the Kinnear. That the ship style and things are in there are Kazinti. So it was a Kazinti ship this boarding action was done on, and that this video has been spliced together. So there are Marines shooting and there are Marines getting shot, and they kind of just splice together. You never see a scene where there's a Marine shooting another Marine. Yeah, so somebody's playing some kind of games with this video stuff. So we go into the weapons room, the door shuts, and the room evacuates. Great. What is going on? But we're all wearing our environmental combat body armor, so we're sealed up. And a couple of guys have got laser rifles and needler pistols. I've got my flamer. Yeah, that's the only real weapon I brought was my flamer. Because we don't want to damage the ship on the inside. So Gauss rifle stay home. And the power of the room goes out. Okay, so we go over to there's a door. There's another door in this room. On the starboard side, I think it is. I'm not a ship's guy, but there's a door on the sidewall, and so towards the inside of the ship. And so Tajin manually gets this thing open. steps through into a hallway, and as he does that, he gets shot by a laser up in the bulkhead of the doorway itself. Um, so I'm standing there, but maybe there's something watching us. Okay, they'll do a 1, 2. I should have done 2. 1, 2, 3, and then jump. Give it a space. So I go on 4 rather than on 3, thinking 1, 2, shoot kind of thing. But doesn't do me any good. I still get shot. But the power discharge was higher. This one almost got through my arm. The shot almost got some heat through my armor. And then Renell comes through on 5 right behind me, and he got nailed right between those adjustable plates in your abdomen so you move around, and he went down. He's taking some massive damage. Cajun jumps on him, starts doing some first aid stuff, and Arthur comes up with his laser rifle, aiming up into that area where the shot came from, and hits something. So he does a test and comes through. It's not doing that anymore. It's done shooting us, at least here. So we get Cajun. Cajun gets Reynald back up on his feet. Oh, and after Arthur had made his shot, we get word from the Goblin that there's something powering up down in the engineering section. Great. So we say blow the umbilical, and I guess the stage actually does that. Boom. So we just disconnect the solar array, but it's got to have some batteries or some kind of internal capacitors, this internal energy kind of maintenance kind of deal. But do what we can. So we head forward towards the where the bridge is on the next deck down, but forward where there's ways down. And the next area has this is where the vehicles get locked down. There's lockdowns for vehicles. There's 1, 2, 3 spots for air raft kind of things. There's actually 1 air raft actually still here, and another one for a larger vehicle. And then there's a vehicle lift, so you can lift vehicles up and down through the ship here. Arthur accesses the lift controls, and again, the little video screen there pops up with the video showing the gas giant, and another thing showing fuel levels and a question mark and question marks all over the whole thing. And it shows the whole marine on marine thing again, and it loops that a couple times, and it goes dead. So it opens side to side. They slide into the deck. We open it up, and we walk down to B deck. That's where the bridge is. Bridge is forward of us. As we come down the bulkhead, there's a wardroom on one side, and what we had found previously from our other ship, in the boneyard, was a galley. The wardroom is still completely outfitted. There are tables and chairs and stuff, and there's trophy things on the wall, things that the Kinnear's done, that kind of thing. Captured weapons, that kind of deal. So we go forward. There's a library on one side, offices on the other. So Arthur, go over here. Some offices. There'll be some computers. Well, computers are both places, but I think the offices will probably have a better access to what we're trying to do to take control of the ship. As we go towards the offices, we see forward one of the hatches to what should be the bridge and a computer room. So we send Arthur over to the computer room. He's doing his thing. He says, "Guys, there's something off here. This is beyond my expertise. But he tells us that about 70% of the CPU usage is doing these slingshot computations, because it's actually still doing computations for the slingshot to get to the gas giant. And there's some CPU sent on monitoring us. In fact, he can see us from video footage in the ward room, and he's got some other footage of the vehicle lift coming up. So Marine all night, train weapons on the doors. As soon as something's coming through, we're ready to take it apart, assuming we need to. And he's got the full video footage of that boarding action, which was on a Kazinti ship, but it's Marines fighting Kazinti. And then the lift opens, and a suit of powered armor is coming up. It's got some sort of cutting torch that's been attached to one arm, and some kind of multi-tool thing on the other. And personal log. So that's where we ended the session. On a suspenseful. Sorry. Well, sorry. I don't know. We run this game. We run from, on my time. We run from 5:30 to midnight. Yeah. So that's 17, 24, 18, 24, 4, 6. Yeah, it's a 6.5 hour game. We weren't able to start on time because I had a church thing I was doing. But so that's a long game. So these 30-minute reviews are probably par for the set for the game. Happy gaming.